Hey guys, welcome back to Must See Films. My name's Darren, and let's talk about The Pursuit of Happiness. As a self-taught filmmaker, I'm always trying to study great films that I find myself being affected by. I ask myself questions like, why was I emotionally moved? Why did this story connect with a deeper part of me? And what are the moving elements that create such a powerful film? Let's look at how the struggle is orchestrated to lead the audience to a cathartic experience, and how the obstacles reveal character choice as we explore the pursuit of happiness, creating meaningful obstacles. In his book Backwards and Forwards, David Ball describes analysing and breaking down a story by approaching it backwards. By identifying the film's final climactic moment and working backwards, this allows the screenwriter to make sure all the dominoes are falling in the right direction. He describes it by saying, going forwards allows unpredictable possibility, but going backwards exposes that which is required. When designing obstacles, you're trying to hold and push back a character from that film's final destination. And by creating meaningful obstacles, you're ensuring that each roadblock is thematically tied to the character's journey. In Finding Nemo, Marlin wants to find his son, but every obstacle is about him facing his fear of the sea. In The Pursuit of Happiness, Chris Gardner wants to become a stockbroker, but every obstacle is about enduring the personal pain of his reality, not matching the vision he has for his life. He can't afford the childcare his son deserves. What was once an investment is now a burden. What was once a marriage is now falling apart. He'd like to present himself professionally, but the circumstances won't let him. That's because these obstacles are designed to stand in his way, and each one reinforces the theme of struggle and unfulfilled dreams. When a story really works, all the obstacles are crafted in a way that services the climax of the story. One of the greatest storytelling lessons I ever learned was from Elia Kazan in his book on directing, when he said, unity to climax. Everything must build to the climax.
Storytelling is joke telling. It's knowing your punchline, your ending, knowing that everything you're saying from the first sentence to the last is leading to a singular goal, and ideally confirming some truth that deepens our understandings of who we are as human beings.
And it's the reason why every time I'm deconstructing a film, the first two tentpole moments I look for are the character's desire and the story's climax. Becoming familiar with these is crucial in understanding how all of the scenes contribute and connect to that invisible through line. David Ball goes on to say, examining events backwards ensures that you will have no gaps in your comprehension of the script. When you discover an event that you cannot connect to a previous event, you know that there is a problem for either the reader or the writer to solve. It ensures that the obstacles are becoming more difficult over the course of the story, by taking a simple fear of not being able to provide for your family and raising the stakes to the worst possible incarnation of this. It's what Robert McKee calls taking a character to the end of the line. So breaking down The Pursuit of Happiness backwards, one of the significant elements of the script that is evident is the amount of conflict Chris Gardner has to go through. Physical conflict, professional conflict, moral conflict, inner conflict. The relentless nature of the hardships grind on our hero, and it's why his resilience of spirit is so powerful to watch. The best definition of dramatic conflict I've came across is when wanting something and an obstacle meet. Aaron Sorkin describes this as intention and obstacle. These are the two elements that every story must have. He also talks about pressing on the intention and obstacle to really clarify if they are compelling and formidable. This idea of pressing is very visceral and conveys the idea of tightening and strengthening a story's premise so that at its very core it works narratively.
What does he want? Why does he want it? What's going to happen if he doesn't get it? What are the obstacles keeping him from getting it? If you have 4 really good answers to those questions, a story can be crafted around the simplest of things. You know, in a movie like Pursuit of Happiness, what does he want? You know, he wants to be a stockbroker. Well, why does he want it? Well, because he's living on the street with his son. and what's going to happen if he doesn't get it. That's scary and unthinkable, what might happen to him in that circumstance. And then what are the obstacles? The obstacles are, well, he has a son that he has to take care of. He doesn't have any money. He's trying to study while he's living in a shelter.
These key questions are similar to what David Mamet recommends in his manifesto that a writer should ask of every scene. He asks, who wants what happens if they don't get it, and why now? By pressing on his intention he wants to be a stockbroker, we can see if it's compelling enough to connect to an audience and if it's strong enough to sustain a feature film. Well, it turns out that this story is bigger than just becoming a broker. It acts as a metaphor for pursuing the American dream.
The book, 25 weeks on the New York Times bestsellers list, 9 weeks at #1, translated into 8 languages and made bestsellers list in 5 countries. Who knew? One person knew. And that was Dr. Maya Angelou when she told me, boy, this ain't even about you. This is about every father who ever had to be a mother, every mother who ever had to be a father, and everybody who ever had a dream and wouldn't quit. It ain't even about you. And when Maya Angelou puts something to you like that, there's only one thing you say, yes, ma'am.
And at its very core, the character's desire has a universal quality, one that can transcend and connect.
It all starts with, at my company, what we refer to as the universally relatable emotion, right? So we try to start with an emotion, right, that is the central, most relatable aspect of it. And that has multiple uses. It sort of becomes the North Star for everybody involved. Visceral, emotional reaction in the tiniest part of the seed.
By starting with these questions, you'd be able to create and design obstacles that are tailor-made for your hero, because you know what they want and you know their weaknesses. By pressing on the obstacles, we can ask, is this struggle going to be formidable enough to really cause character growth? And what lengths is the character willing to go to achieve his or her goal? The journey of Chris Gardner is shaping up to be very formidable right enough, but it's more than that because our character experiences deep internal struggle because of his worldview.
I met my father for the first time when I was 28 years old, and I made up my mind as a young kid that when I had children, my children were going to know who their father was.
So the movie opens with that, and then you take that guy and put him in a subway bathroom with his son, so that it's an external issue, but it becomes deeply internal for this character specifically. When it is spectacular and when it comes together beautifully, the external obstacles are the things that cause the most internal difficulty.
So a movie packed with struggle and adversity is really about the actions that the character takes in the face of these problems, and it's about the resilience of the human spirit. Characters show who they are by how they choose to engage with obstacles. Aristotle describes it as this: character is indicated by actions that demonstrate a person's choice. What things the character chooses or rejects for good or for evil. Let's take a look at a couple of obstacles within a scene which reveal who the character is through their choices. Here we start with a small win by showing Chris Gardner's ability, but immediately after our character is faced with an obstacle, trapping him in a situation that is designed to expose his weakness. What is his intention? He wants to keep the little money that he has to care for his son. What is his obstacle? He doesn't have enough money. He is stuck in this cab with a stranger and he faces a moral choice. How does this link thematically? It shows the harsh reality and desperation of our character and reminds him that he's not where he wants to be financially. Here we come to the turn of the scene. The moment the entire scene swivels on, the moment the character will make a choice. That choice will reveal who he really is, and we, the audience, feel the drama, which William Archer describes as anticipation mingled with uncertainty. In the turn, he chooses the action and morally difficult choice of running away, which in fact becomes a motif of the entire film. How is this scene dramatized for maximum impact? The rising conflict shows the cab driver won't let it go and forces our hero to stay on the run, and in his panic, boards the subway only to lose another bone density scanner, making the scene start positive and end negative. Let's take a look at the interview scene. What is the entering emotional state? Well, it's negative because he just spent the night in jail away from his son. What is the character's intention? He wants to make it to his interview and he wants to get the position. Why does he want to do this? It's an opportunity to change his life path and ultimately provide for his family. What are the obstacles? Time is used and crafted here to work against him. Being in a distraught emotional state after worrying about his son all night in jail, and not being dressed professionally or even washed despite walking into a first meeting. How does it contribute thematically? The circumstances of this obstacle create the sense for Chris and the audience that he's going to blow this one opportunity, that his vision for a better life is stacked against him with the reality of this situation. What is the tactic that he uses to achieve his goal? He displays honesty and humor in the face of adversity. How does the scene turn? Chris makes fun of the situation and his charm is enough to engage the panel. Is his objective achieved? Yes, he does enough to show his character beyond the clothing and he is given an opportunity. What is the exiting emotional state? Well, it's positive because he gets the position, but at the end of the scene, it introduces another obstacle, as Chris learns that the internship has no salary, making it also negative. The lack of salary is also another obstacle specifically designed to challenge our character. Let's break down my favorite scene in the film. So what is the entering emotional state? Well, it's a negative. Chris and his son have been locked out of their hotel for not paying rent, and our hero is trying to keep afloat in the worst of situations. What is the character's intention? He's trying to find somewhere for his son to sleep. What are the obstacles? He has no money, no support. His son is losing faith in him, they're carrying all of their gear, and they're stuck in a dangerous place at night. How does this contribute thematically? This scene acts as a microcosm for the whole story, bringing the reality of the hardships into full focus and showing the desperation and disappointment of our character. What is the character's worldview? Chris is acting out the belief that no matter what, he will be there for his son. What is the tactic that he uses to achieve his goal? This scene shows us that even in the darkest of situations, he manages to keep his son's spirit alive and not being fully damaged by the reality of the circumstances. He plays a game and encourages the boy to use his imagination. A powerful moment that reminds me of the imaginative resilience and optimism of the old Chaplin films. How does the scene turn? They hunt and find a cave and they lock themselves in a public bathroom. So is the objective achieved? Externally, yes, they have found a place to sleep, but internally this has to be one of the lowest moments of the film. So what is the exiting emotional state? It's a mixture of positive and negative. It's positive in the sense that they managed to find somewhere to sleep, but it's negative for the personal pain this choice causes for our hero. Many of these scenes finish with an external positive, as Chris barely struggles forward, but also an internal negative, as Will Smith's performance perfectly captures a man holding everything inside. And it's why the climax of the film pays off as so satisfying for an audience, because it gives them someone who wasn't trapped by their circumstances. And it's why Chris Gardner stands alongside other characters in cinema that defy the odds of the harsh realities of their lives. All great stories give something to an audience. They communicate a deep human truth that is experienced viscerally through the journeys of the characters. The Pursuit of Happiness has all the elements that cause the powerful impact for me, and any film that is capable of that is worthy of study. So the next time you're writing a scene and trying to figure out whether it's working or not, or how to dramatize it more, press on the obstacle and make your characters struggle so that they have the opportunity to reveal who they truly are. As Robert McKee would say, true character is revealed through the choices a human being makes under pressure. The greater the pressure, the greater the revelation. the truer the choice to the character's essential nature. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video on my favorite Will Smith movie of all time. Let me know in the comments below other films that you think challenge a main character that are worthy of study. If you love talking about great movies and what makes them work, then be sure to subscribe. You can also support this channel on Patreon. If you enjoyed this kind of narrative breakdown, then be sure to check out my video on why I think Whiplash is a masterpiece. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video for One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest.